the vision for Powur, if you were truly to sum it up, is that we see a sustainable and thriving future for all life on this planet. All life on this planet. Every species, every person, a sustainable and thriving future. And we actually don't need to figure out the goals to get there. That's already been figured out. This is coming from the United Nations. So the United Nations had an initiative called the Global Goals. And they came up with 17 global goals to set the course of our planet on the path of a sustainable future. These 17 global goals include no poverty, no hunger, good health, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, renewable energy, good jobs and economic growth, innovation and infrastructure, reduced inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace and justice. And so we don't need to reinvent the wheel. These are the 17 global goals that as a humanity, as a society, that we all have to solve to have a sustainable future. So the question is, how?
I think this is the important thing to ask yourself is, what is the number one thing that unlocks all of those goals? Does anybody have an idea? Love, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, you're going to have love because there's no sleep. Communication, determination, what else? Education. Here's the good news. It's actually a lot simpler than that. What it is low cost, clean, abundant, distributed, accessible what? Energy. Every single one of those 17 things is unlocked with one thing.
And we're going to show you why and how.
Why and how. So, when you take a look at one of the big ones, right, clean water. How many of you enjoy clean water? Okay. Do you realize most of the world does not have access to that? And guess what? In California, are we experiencing something called a drought? So one of the solutions, and this is really interesting, we're going to talk about an abundance and scarcity mindset, is I was down in Aruba not too long ago with my wife, and I had a really interesting experience because Aruba has what? A desal plant. So on that island, I went into the hotel, and for the first time, I didn't see one of those little save water things. And I didn't feel concerned about taking a shower. It was a weird experience. Nobody on the island was worried about it because they have desalinization. Well, one of the largest desal plants in our country is coming here. It's already here in Carlsbad, and it's about ready to light up. Here's the challenge with it. They are pumping hundreds of millions of gallons of water through these microfiltered screens so that we can get clean water. Guess what that takes? It takes energy, and a lot of it. So it uses 38 megawatts of energy, which is comparable to 28,500 homes being powered.
Per day.
Per day.
For this one plant.
And by the way, this one plant, which produces pumps 100 million gallons of water, produces 50 million of clean water. So the good news is we have the technology, but we have a shortage of what? Power, energy. The thing is that one plant is only going to service 7% of San Diego's water requirements for that one plant, and it costs billions of dollars. Okay? So when you take a look at this, it starts to unlock the other things that we need access to, such as, and part of the challenge is with food, right? When you saw the picture of the land, the arid lands that are happening, that's happening at a mass rate. So there are not only places disappearing because of sea level rises, the land that is present is actually drying out. So guess what that means less of? Less food, okay? But we have the solutions for this, all right? All of this is accessed through energy. And when we have access to clean, abundant energy, it changes the game.
And just one thing to add there that I thought was a shocking statistic is that less than 100 countries in the world right now have access to reliable energy. Less than 100 countries have access to reliable energy. How are we going to get quality education, quality living, no poverty, if you can't even turn on a light bulb, if you can't even, do the most basic
If you can't keep your food cold in a refrigerator, the things that we take for granted, right? Forget about plugging your iPhones in, okay, right? Or your cars, but the ability to have the conveniences that we forget about to wash your clothes. Okay, so
what happens as the cost of low-cost, clean, exhaustless, abundant energy falls through the floor?
It unlocks everything. So one of the first things it does is it unlocks desalination of water. So we get access to clean water because with abundance of energy on every rooftop and solar farms, we can now move water through these desal plants. So not only we have energy, we have clean water. And guess what clean water unlocks? Well, what it does, it brings a new technology in, vertical hydroponics. So instead of us using our land, we can go which way? Up. All right? And there's some pretty cool things happening with buildings being turned into farms, right? Way cooler place to live, okay? What it also does is it unlocks all kinds of other food technologies when you have energies. It improves the quality of living overall. Think about it. We live pretty well here, right? Imagine if the whole world was no longer in scarcity because of food and water and energy.
Unlimited amounts of energy, unlimited amounts of water, unlimited amounts of food. How's that going to affect our quality of living around the world?
It took us a moment, even us, we went, this is it. Like, this is what unlocks everything, is energy. As you're going to see here, it unlocks every single piece of the puzzle. All 17 of the world's largest challenges and goals is unlocked through abundant, renewable energy. We couldn't get there with burning fossil fuels, but guess what? We can get there with solar. We can get there with wind. We can get there with hydro, and it's not going to take that long. It's really, really exciting. You get it?
And as you'll see in just a minute, we're going to show you exactly how the role each and every one of us plays impacts the exponential growth of this technology that drives the cost down to unlock this whole chain. So get excited for it. What it's going to take to bring these solutions to market is something that we're calling the era of for-benefit entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurs are the creators, are they not? They're the change makers, they're the creators. We build something from nothing. Are you waiting for the government to solve this problem? No, neither am I. We're certainly not waiting for, I don't know, the people that created the problem to solve the problem. That doesn't seem like it's going to happen. So we're entering into an era of for-benefit entrepreneurship. And I want to pull up two quotes that really sums this up because, you know, one of the more popular phrases that you might have heard is social entrepreneurship. And Powur is actually an example of, I think, the next, I would say the next iteration of social entrepreneurship, which is really for benefit. And what for benefit means is it's an actual corporate structure where the goals and the vision and the purpose of an organization is built into its governance, its corporate governance, its bylaws. So how many of you know that Powur is a benefit corporation? We're a B Corp. You know that? Sweet. Half you guys didn't know we're a B Corp. Okay? This is something that has literally just come on the scene within the last 3 years. It was first written into legislature in California. A brilliant attorney came up with the whole thing. And what it essentially means is that in our bylaws, we are protected because a normal corporation right now has a fiduciary duty to maximize profit for its shareholders, and that's what its job is. That's what its duty is, to maximize profit for shareholders. Now, if going to a clean, energy or, getting recycled materials or making some decision would minimize profit, shareholders can actually sue the company. They can say, well, you're not doing your fiduciary duty, and they can sue the company, sue the directors, sue the board for not maximizing profit. It's a pretty crappy structure, don't you think? And that's why this world, a part of the reason why it's not like we have all these bad people running around saying, I want to screw up the planet. It's a product of really poor design. We have really poor design for how the world is working right now. For benefit is a brand new model. And what it basically means is that in our bylaws, our fiduciary duty is to maximize profit for shareholders and stakeholders. And stakeholders has been expanded to include the environment. It's been expanded to include people. It's been expanded to include all the stakeholders who have any sort of investment or relation to the company and its mission. So no longer can shareholders sue you for doing the right thing. And, this whole movement, this for benefit movement, has really started in California. It's now spreading all over the place, and it is institutionalized companies. We're not profit. We're going to go make a ton of money. We love money. But we're going to use that money to do the best damn things in the world, and it's written into our bylaws. So that's the difference. So I want to share these two quotes with you. One is, entrepreneurs are innovative, highly motivated, and critical thinkers. When these attributes are combined with a drive to solve social problems, a social entrepreneur is born. I want you to consider that you very well may be that person. Next, from Bill Drayton, who's one of the founders of social entrepreneurship, one of the earliest who coined the term. The core psychology of a social entrepreneur is someone who cannot come to rest in a very deep sense until he or she has changed the pattern in an area of social concern all across society. We cannot come to rest until we've changed the pattern in an area of social concern all across society. So just consider that as a frame right now when we share the master plan. When we really got clear on what it is that we're doing, when we really got clear on what this is, what we realized is that Powur connects entrepreneurs to sustainable technologies to bring about the distribution of game-changing innovations that are going to do two things: solve the world's grandest challenges, and two, democratize for-benefit entrepreneurship at scale. And what that means is to democratize for-benefit entrepreneurship at scale for less than $500. Anyone can start a business solving the world's grandest challenges. Now that is some cool shit. And we are going to take that to scale. I mean millions of people. That's how we're going to do this, ladies and gentlemen. So what's the plan? Part one is we change how the world generates energy through accelerating the distribution of solar technology. This is part one. This is where we go first. You already know why. Part two, we change how the world consumes energy through accelerating the distribution of sustainable transportation, smart homes, and energy storage. And part three, we advance the distribution of globally transformational products that affect the sustainability of all natural resources and humanity. Our land, our air, our water, our food, and our energy. Those 5 categories are all going to be categories that we enter.
And notice the timelines at the bottom, right? So those of you who are action-based, part 1 is in 1 to 10 years, okay? Part 2 is 3 to 15 years. And then for the next 100 years, we're going to shift the whole planet.
We have, at this point, 100. We've at least got a vision for what we can all accomplish for the next century.
We'll keep you busy between now and then. And here's the thing about this, is that we are crossing this chasm. When we were up at Solar City and we met the new president, Toby, of Global VP of Global Sales?
President of Global Sales.
President of Global Sales. And this guy is sharp. I mean, he is on it. And we asked him, we said, what is the number one challenge you're having in reaching part 1 of our goal? And he said, the number one challenge you and your audience solve, it's education. It's education and awareness. Because guess what? We already get it, right? Most of you already get this. But there are half the world out there that doesn't get it or doesn't believe it. They're unaware. Or worse, they're misinformed. They're operating off a set of beliefs that just isn't true. And so guess what we do? We educate and we make them aware. And as we cross this chasm, as we move from innovators we've already done to early adopters, and we move into this next stage, which is the early majority, when we cross this, that's when everyone just goes, well, of course. Do you get it? Can you feel it? So this is our greatest challenge, but it's our greatest opportunity. And when we say we don't sell, that's partially true. We're selling people on a better future. We're selling people on a better mindset. We're selling people on not only energy abundance, but financial abundance and freedom, because for so long we've been trained and programmed to think that that's not possible. But it is. And it is within the next 10 to 15 to 20 years. Own that. Because you're creating that with us.
One of the most magical things is we all do our job, we do our sacred duty, whatever that is involved in this process as well. This is the hardest part. Crossing the chasm of a new technology, achieving the mainstream early adopters, that's the hardest part. We're going through, the famous author of the Diffusions of Innovation Theory said, this chasm where if technologies don't cross it, sometimes they can die. Because you've got to go from 1 to 10%. And it takes enormous energy, enormous education, enormous everything to move through until the early majority, who wants everybody else to prove it for them, they want it validated for them. They're not going to take a risk. They're only going to jump on board when somebody else has proven it. So to get to that point of 10%, that's the chasm we're crossing right now. And as we hit the early majority adopter phase, what happens? Explosion. And we start to benefit from the economy of scale. And now that cost is going to drop through the floor because the scale of solar technology, the scale of what we're doing is so much larger, everything drops. You're buying, materials and 10x and this and that, and so it all gets cheaper. So benefiting from that economy of scale is what's going to drive the cost of technology through the floor and unlock all of these other things that we showed you. Cheap water, cheap food, unlimited amounts of everything, because we're functioning from a technology paradigm, not a commodity paradigm.
And the key to this, before we switch to the next piece, the key to this is that awareness. How many of you are starting to see more of this on social media? Right? You're seeing this good technology, good news, good things that are happening, what the governments are doing, and everyone. You're seeing more and more of it. How many times does it take for somebody to see an ad before they actually see it? Who knows? 7 times. So guess what? What we're going to be rolling out tomorrow is one of the technology tools to blast this across the world so it becomes the mainstream conversation. So everybody goes, of course we're doing this. Of course we're paneling the planet. Of course we're redoing our homes. Of course we're doing everything we can because that's the vision that all of us as a species want. That's what we're doing this weekend.
Part 2, once we've crossed the chasm, we go into sustainable lives. The car in your driveway will be electric. The battery storing the energy from your solar panels. The LED light bulbs, which are going to save you tremendous amounts of money and energy. The new appliances you're going to have that know to intelligently use energy at this time and not at this time, or turn themselves off or turn themselves on. The controllers like Nest. Unfortunately, if you're in Southern California, possibly turf, because if we don't get desal in time, we're going to run out of our lawns. So this is where we go next. And in part 3, here's where we just start to imagine sustainable everything. We have atmospheric water generators already. We can generate water out of the atmosphere. A machine just sits in your living room and makes you water. What's the secret to that? Energy. Vertical hydroponics gardening, we've already talked about. This is the future, and who knows, maybe one day we'll sell a solar airplane. Why not? We don't know where we're going to go, but what we do know is that this whole world is coming. Because the true essence of what technology unlocks is a world of abundance. It's a world of abundance. We are moving from a paradigm of scarcity, where there's limited amounts of everything. There's limited amounts of coal, there's limited amounts of oil, there's limited amounts of food, there's limited amounts of all of this. We're moving into an era of abundance, where there's unlimited amounts of energy, there's unlimited amounts of food, there's unlimited amounts of water. That is the true promise of what technology can bring to our future if it's sustainable technology.